Well, welcome to Shay's Spiritual Insights. Glad you're here. It's what a time we have together. We can all share with one another and just share what we get, and it's wonderful. So, right now we have Paula, myself, Franny, and Marci. So, I'm going to start with Paula. Do you have anything to share about what's going on in your life? Oh, you're muted. I'm grabbing some stuff here, but don't pay attention to the man behind the curtains here. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Try Franny then. Okay, let me.
There you are. I can hear you now.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. So I have a lot to share
Oh,
and
good.
a lot of exciting things, but you know what? I was gone for the gathering,
Yes.
and it was amazing the spiritual openness that I received while I was there. I mean, it was like I feel like a new person in so
Wow.
many ways from the work that we did, but also the work that I did on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And today I was out doing a brand inspection and I connected with the horse for the first time, like Lola does. I mean, a pure heart to heart connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I kept getting chills all over my body, realizing that that was a step up for me, a real upgrade in my spiritual walk. That
Wow.
I really opened up, and I just can't explain what it did for my heart to be able to have that communication with the horse, and also for the person that I was communicating with about the horse. She was in tears because it was all the things that she really wondered about. And so I will leave it at that. But I really feel like I have made a milestone in this walk.
Wow, that is absolutely wonderful. And you're doing, animal communications like Lola, so that's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Wow. Well, thank you.
other than that, I'm just happy to be here, and I love the meditation. I listened to it while I was gone from last month. Wow, what an amazing meditation for the group. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And to our surprise, on that meditation on YouTube, we normally have a certain number of people that listen to it, and out of the blue, within a couple days, we were at 500 views. Wow. And it was the third one in the series. So we was like, well, we're honored, but it was really took us by surprise. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
can imagine because it was that good. So
Well,
thank
thank you. All right. I'm going to go counterclockwise this time today. So on my screen, that is. And Franny, do you have anything to share or ask or both? You there, Franny?
Hi.
Hi.
Could you, could you come back to me?
I can,
Could you
sure.
come back to me? Okay, thank you.
All right, we will do that. All right, Pat, you just came on. I hope you're ready. Do you have anything to share, anything to ask, or both?
Not right at the moment. I am whooped. Too much sun and too many days and too much fun with my girlfriends. What can I say?
Oh, yes. Well, you had a fun time today, so that's good. Well, good.
Yes.
All
Thank you.
right. Well, we're going to go over to Marcy then. Well, Marcy, do you have anything to share, to ask, or both?
Oh boy. Um, I would say on your meditation, the one that you're just talking about where you got so many views,
Mm-hmm.
that the photo that you put up, I mean the title too, but that particular photo really drew me in. That the color images,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, even though I wanted to click on a couple of the others, the colors, that photo was just like a magnet. So I don't know. For me, that would have been a reason to listen to it just for that.
And that
So
very well may have been, yeah. Deborah found it just out of the blue. She came right upon it. Once she saw it, she said, "That's the one." So,
yeah, it was really good. It was a good meditation too. It was, let's see, how long ago was that anyway?
that
Was that
was
like
the
2 weeks ago?
21st of last month, I think it was.
Okay. So after that meditation, or at the end of it, I got the information that I was to do something like have a new structure up on the land, something a little more stable up there. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to stay down here by the water where I am. I don't want to do that. And it was like, no, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go. I was like, but that's not what I want to do. So anyway, I mean, I came to terms with it, and I'm going in that direction. But I just thought it was funny because I don't usually get something like that after a meditation. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
It is, and something that's that significant all of a sudden, came through. So, wow.
Yeah. It's just been, as usual. It's been intense. It's been, kind of. It's not like stuff's good or bad anymore. It's just things happening, and with a little better footing. Then footing is getting easier. I would say that, but things are faster and faster and faster and faster. And I don't know, just whatever you see. If you were me, what would you want to know?
I think I just want to say, yeah, it is faster and faster, and I'm hearing that we're experiencing it. I'm experiencing it, and every time I think it can't go faster, it does. And I just think I don't think isn't the right word. I would say just keep flowing with what you're doing right now. I think that's the best bet, and see what comes from that, because you're really flowing with things, and that, I mean, I agree with you. It's faster and faster. You're just like you're on one of those catamaran, what do they call those sail catamaran surfboard things, whatever they are. It's like I see you kind of like floating on the water on that.
Yeah,
That's the image I
yeah.
see of you.
Oh, good. I'm having fun with even though it felt like a kind of a step back, like going into more the dual kind of way of looking at things with the angels. I'm having fun with that because I'm actually able to see them now to some degree. And it's, I mean, feeling is really cool and hearing is cool, but to actually see them, for some reason, it makes it more, I'm not making this up. I'm not imagining. I'm really seeing, I don't know why that has more validity. It doesn't make any sense. You'd think feeling would be the most, but
a lot of people, they love the visual. I mean, and our brain is programmed for it. A good percentage of our brain's functioning processes visual. And so it's interesting that's it. But when you get the visual with the feeling and the energetic, that's a wonderful thing. And you're probably getting all of them at once, I would think.
Yeah, I'm getting all of them, but the seeing part is like icing on the cake, and it's just like, oh yes. So,
well, when I see them, it's amazing. But usually, occasionally they hang around, but a lot of times they're flying through. They're on their way, and I catch just a glimpse of them, long enough to know who they are. But they don't, for whatever reason, they don't stick around long when I usually see them. So I hope it's a little longer visit for you.
Oh, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it's just, it's like that, like if you were in a snow globe and it was light instead of little snowflakes, it's like that, like all around. It's that kind of thing sometimes. But the flitting through, I've seen that too. So yeah, it just feels good. It's like Paula was saying with the animal thing. It's just like, oh yes,
It happened.
just
It happened,
yeah,
and that's another step. For it's when that happens, that means we're ready for more. So, well, good for you. My goodness, that's absolutely awesome. And I know for seeing them, for me, visual is a big thing. And when I have meditations that I do, and occasionally they turn off my higher guidance turns off the camera. Boy, it's a totally different experience. So I know what you mean.
yeah, yeah. If we have time, I don't want to hog all this time, but if we have time, can you talk about the layers of our being?
Oh, sure, we can talk about it.
Okay.
I see them. I can talk a little bit now. I see them when you see. Well, boy, I see them in a number of ways. I'm going to try to keep this short. I can see the inner going to the outer, and I can see the different facets of a person's being. I'm shown that. And then I see the different levels of the being, and it goes all the way up in basically octaves, like musical notes, all the way up to your high self and beyond. And interestingly, each level of our being is autonomous in itself. I mean, it's its own aspect. It has a conscious. Each one of them has its own consciousness, and they operate collectively, but they also operate individually. And why that's important to know is years ago I was in a meditation and I was asked a question and I was to answer it. The Father had asked me a question and my answer was yes. And at the time I was unaware, and Kay is the one who brought it to my attention. She says, "Oh yes, but you always answered on multiple levels." And I think we've talked about this before. She says at least 3, if not more, but usually 3 is that's the number that she looked for. And 3 different levels of my being got asked the same question and they answered yes as well. And this has to do with us being in a unified manner of when we make a decision that our whole being basically is operating holistically, I guess would be the word. And that was interesting. So that's something I can talk about. If you have other questions about it, I can certainly address them specifically, because each person, we're all doing different things at all these different levels. And what's happening with one person may not be the same thing that's happening with someone else. So it's always good to know about that.
So it's not like it's not like they correspond to the chakras then.
They kind of do roughly a little bit. You could say like the subconscious is the lower 3 chakras. That is the level. That's the spectrum that the subconscious and the lesser self operate from, and the child self too, from those levels. But each chakra has its own consciousness as well. So, it kind of can get a little bit confusing, because you can focus on the chakras and the consciousness at that level and how each one of those operates. But within our being, we also have, you could say, collective layers that operate within groupings sometimes with people. And it's not always the same for everybody. And that's kind of interesting too. I see that. Just when we can talk in very rough generalities about we as beings, but we truly are unique in how we operate as a being, I guess, as I'm going to say it that way. So if you had something
So what
specific,
would be,
go ahead.
what would be above the high self then? What layer of the being would be there?
Well, and I'm going to give you a very extremely 10,000 foot level answer to that. There is the high self, which I'm going to say something and I can explain at some later point. It's actually a kind of although it looks like a single being, it actually is a collective being of course, all things spiritual are quantum in nature, but it's a collection of spirit attributes and threads of our being that come from the divine. And there's higher levels of the divine. We talked about that in the book where I talk about it in mathematical terms. It's almost like supersets. It's not higher, although it looks higher. We perceive it, most people perceive it as being higher. And there's higher levels of our high self. I call them the higher selves. There's the high self and then there's higher selves. And that keeps going on and on and on, just as God goes on and on and on, up and up and up. Or higher supersets. He goes out, out, out. It's kind of, it looks like, again, it's higher, but it's moving up further and further and further into creation and the body of God. And that's my very abbreviated answer, because it gets, if I talk about it in detail, it gets really, we'd have to actually go, we could do a seminar on this whole thing. We could do a course on this whole thing.
Well, that'd be fun.
It's in the book, Be God Beyond God, where I talk about that in that chapter.
Okay. Oh, I remember.
Yes, that's what it's in. And I became aware of that. And just so you know, the book, the second half especially, so much of that I learned from exploring Kay's being, her extended being. Because she's such an advanced soul. It was like a platinum mine of spiritual knowledge, and she left it wide open for me to do that. So much of what you read about in that book, that person I'm talking about is Kay. That special person I talk about, that's Kay. I kept it anonymous at the time because she really wanted it that way. She liked to operate behind the scenes, but I became aware of God beyond God and the higher selves through that connection with her and the divine. But she was certainly a catalyst in that, a huge catalyst for that. So that's going to be my short answer. If at some point we want to talk about it, we can do so, in a phone call or something and talk more and more about it. But it's just, as creations of the divine of God, we are so much more than what we know. In the Old Testament, and don't ask me to quote the scripture passage because I don't recall it, it says we are small g gods, and that is true. That is absolutely true. And we go on and out and out and out. The threads of our being are wired throughout ongoing creation. It's not like a static thing. It's just, we're evolving as creation evolves as well. So I think I've gone on long enough. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I have a question, Jeff.
about that.
Yes, Pat.
Oh, maybe I should let Paula go because the question I have doesn't have to do with that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go, if it's okay, I'm going to go counterclockwise, continue my little rotation. So that's okay. And I'm going to go to Eryn because Eryn jumped on. So Eryn, do you have anything to share, anything to ask, or both? I'd love to hear it. And you can address me or anyone in the group here. As you know, we can all talk to one another. That's the beauty of having this forum. We can all talk to one another. We can all share if we have something to say. So Eryn, hello.
Everybody. It's been a while.
It has. So what is happening?
What is happening? I guess like today, I guess it was like yesterday and today, I've just been exhausted and like all of this negative, what I, hear as negative programming and limiting beliefs and all these emotions are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of hung out at home today, and so that's what's going on. But in general, I'm kind of in this spot of how do I want to contribute to the world or to people around me and get paid for it. So I got back from India and I was in like a really nice space, and work was okay, but it I w- I wasn't really well received by my boss. And so that was interesting. And I was like ready to share all the stuff and share my new state. And it didn't really go well. And so essentially like last week that ended. Um
Wow.
and so now I'm like, okay, what's next? Like what's coming? You know, I'm sure my divine has a plan. I just don't know what it is yet. Um and I'm feeling like I know some of the things I'd like to do, who I want to work with. But yeah, as of today, I don't have a job.
Oh my. Well,
Yeah.
when you got on, I could see things were in flux, and I forgot all about India. I just said that, but you have, and things. I'm going to echo back to what Marci was talking about. Things are going faster and faster, and they are, and it's just, and because of that, stuff is coming up quicker. Our connections are being made, so we're going through this constant flux of integration and connection and whatever else, and you are especially, and I agree with you, there are things coming into your consciousness all over the place. Ideas are coming in, and well, we can do this and we can do that, and so right now it's kind of all, so the stuff that isn't like that's that's not quite right, that's the things that are not quite right are falling away, and the new ones are coming in and settling, and connections are being made. So I think you're in that process, and it's one that's really important for you to be in, because you are in transition, and that's what you're doing, and just keep doing it, and I think it's going to happen anyway. I don't see it slowing down for you anytime soon here. Oh my goodness gracious. So but yes, that explained, when you explained that, and that made sense for what I was seeing. It's like, holy smokes, there's a lot of stuff going on. You are right there, and there it is. So that's why. And you've chosen this at the inner level. You're ready to finish with this and these kinds of things, even though they're okay, and move into some other things. And you're intuitively, instinctively seeking it. It's like your heart knows, your being knows, but it hasn't crystallized to know what it is going to be yet. And it could be something, I use the word odd. I don't mean that in a negative way. It'll be different. Odd, it's like something we hadn't thought about doing, but yet it meets the very thing that we're looking to do. I've often found myself doing jobs where it was odd, and at first I wanted to reject it, but then next thing I know, I was like, hold on, this is actually a good idea. Hold on, maybe I'll do this after all. And it's kind of, I feel like it's along that lines for you. And what your high self wants you to do is keep doing it. Don't let yourself get, slowing, don't let yourself, just kind of rest too much. Just, rest the amount you need, but then keep processing it as you're doing. And I think things are going to start coming to you, and little weird opportunities, odd opportunities can show themselves in the moment. You may think about it, process it, just let it, see where it goes, see what happens. I think you're going to see a number, I'm going to use a word, a number of, I'm not sure if they're just going to be ideas or things that actually come your way or somebody mentions it to you, but that seems to be, I want to use the word flooding in for you right now. And kind of just not, I don't want to call them wisps. They're not wisps of ideas. They are areas that are coming in, and if they catch your attention, they'll crystallize more. And if they don't catch your attention, they may not. But I think what's really just important is some of them you'll kind of let them flow by. Other ones will catch you, and then let yourself gravitate to what, and move toward what, something that meets your instinctive, intuitive, your heartfelt need, and see where it goes. And that's about all I can say to it. You're doing it. It's happening. And I mean, it's happening It's just happening anyway. That's what's interesting. And I think you're supposed to keep doing that. Don't let it slow down. Just keep doing it. And eventually things you'll come to a point where it will kind of, it'll be like, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Nothing's really crystallized. And that's when you'll probably go back through, re-review things, and things will then more fully crystallize, and possibilities can then become your way of options, things to seek, to look through. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and this actually is, boy, this is what I'm getting. I'm going to use the words. This is a phase you are to move into. Your inner being has been seeking it, and now that I'm seeing it, I know that, but I wouldn't have guessed it before, that it would look like this. I know that things are coming for people, but when they tell me about it, then I was like, oh, yeah, that's right, but it's a little different than I thought, and that's what I'm going to share with you. It definitely, the thing that I could see we were talking about before in the last time in our emails. These are things that are coming in, but it's always different in the real world when I see it. I guess I'm going to say it that way. So.
Okay. I
Anything
wonder what
else?
it's gonna turn up. I just want to share that Anna seems to be doing really well.
Wonderful.
She's having these amazing experiences and like talking about her ego and like just having these realizations and like explaining to me about oneness and things like that. And it's just like a huge relief at this point to just be like, okay, she's doing her thing. She's doing chakra meditations and yeah, all this different stuff to help herself,
Mm-hmm.
with her challenges, and like stuff is dissolving and she's like happy sometimes. And I mean, most times I would say.
Oh, that is
And a
absolutely
lot,
wonderful. And you said it was getting
yeah,
better, and I'm glad to hear that it's continuing. So, wow, what a blessing that is for you and her, both of you.
yeah, definitely. So
Yes,
wanted to share that joy.
yes. Is there anything else?
I think that's
Well,
it for me.
I'm glad to hear about Anna, and I'm just glad to hear. Well, I feel like it's time for the new thing to come in, and I'll be curious to see what it manifests into for you. Where when it finally crystallizes, and you say, now I've got this new job, and this is what I'm doing, or this new activity, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a job, could be something you're doing yourself, your own self, work your own work. I'll be curious to see what it manifests.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you know. I'm curious too.
All right. Well, blessings to you. And now I'm going to move on to Brook, who was over on the other part of my screen, but everything rearranged itself. So, Brook, do you have anything to share, to ask, or both, to anybody, everybody?
I'll be like Franny. Could you go to somebody else first? Just kidding. It's good to be here with everybody tonight. I was at work and I looked at the clock. It said 6:30. So, oh man, I got to get home so I can get on this call. And then I got another call from Alaska, and so I had that call for the half hour right before this one. So a couple of things, Eryn, this time of change is always like, oh man, I didn't expect this. Like you said, you planned on coming back full of different kinds of positive energy and growth and who you are and who you found out you were while you were away on this journey, and then come back to this heaviness. And it's like, I expected to share, but nobody's here to listen.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got on the call tonight to be with us, and I could be with you. And but But I heard something today when I was listening to an audiobook, and it said something along the lines of, if I make it through this moment in time, I could make it through anything. And it's pretty good, because it seems like right now is pretty intense because you don't know, or maybe it's stressful, but you make it through this moment, you can make it through anything. And I've always relied on, as some of you have known me over the years, I've gone from place to place, but I always said I'm where I'm supposed to be because I'm kind of guided or brought there. And that will happen. Just a matter of, can you have it happen sooner than later so I don't have to wonder?
Mhm.
That's the extra benefit of it, because as long as you're not coming from a place of fear, and more a sense of love and trust, you're not counting on yourself. You're counting on spirit to help guide us and strengthen us. And I've always relied on that, and it's always worked out for the best. Which then takes me to where we're at tonight, because we said earlier, where'd the month go?
Yes.
It just gone, and it's been so crazy that first time in my history of my grandkids, I said, "Oh, I forgot one grandkid's birthday." I thought it just went so fast. So I got on the phone real quick, and you're kind of catching up because things are happening so fast.
That's true.
So different for me to miss something like that, because now I have 7 or 8 of them. I've got to count. But the idea, though, is things are happening so fast, and then where I'm at now, there's been a lot of openness and sharing of the spiritual sense of things and experiences, including something that we started talking about last month when Lisa was on. Lisa's not on tonight. I'm sorry she's not, because her and I had some conversations this past week or so on stuff that she's been invited to do that she talked about briefly at the opening of last month's meeting. And that was on some energy cleaning in some space there in Nespelem and on the reservation. And so it was fun to make the connection with her, to share my experience that I had in that office and with what was going on there in the building, what we did at that time. Give her some insights and some of the people she was working with.
You're breaking up a little bit, Brooke.
Okay, it might be because my air conditioner just came on. It is in the high 80s here. Just so you know. I'll move a little closer. But it's been nice to make that connection with one of us on a one-to-one basis and work kind of back and forth, sounding things off, and kind of getting reaffirming that where I'm at and kind of the guidance I provide seems to be in the right place at the right time. That's always nice to hear, because we do so many things, but to actually put it to use in different parts of our life and maybe help others is such a blessing. And seem to be doing more of that here in this area. Then you run into a bump in the road. I'm thinking, okay, is it a bump because I'm making it a bump? Or is it a bump that, okay, I'm supposed to learn a little bit from this experience? And being very open about where I'm feeling and what I'm going through and how it's affecting me. Because then I share a little more open about things. And we had some of those kind of discussions. I'm trying not to be so specific because of the call being recorded and all, but it was enough that I had to tell the leadership group today that wasn't the way I would do business. If there's something to say and something's going on, I would go to the person instead of blast an email to everybody saying there's an issue, just be aware of it. If it has to do with a personnel policy issue, I said, if there's an issue that happens to be me, for example, I'd like them to come talk to me instead of sending a blast email out to everybody about an issue that maybe I caused. That's not the case, I don't think. But that was the idea, that there's different approaches, but we're not getting feedback from the leadership that we should get. And I say that from my position as an employee, but my position as a leader, because this is what I would expect and you would expect from me. And if short of that, you're not respecting those that work for you, because they need guidance, not being told what they're doing wrong, but kind of guided out of it. So I had that in the last few days to deal with some of my staff and management team, and I'm thinking, am I being stubborn? And I'll be more specific. It happens to do with the dress code in one of the policies. And they're not, now they're saying not to wear jeans.
Barely hear you. At least I can. I don't know about everybody else.
Okay, I know my air conditioner came on, so let me try to go even closer yet.
Okay, well, as long as we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, over the years, I've changed how I dress, and I'm comfortable and I'm practical. My clothes are always pressed and but is jeans really the issue? What's the issue that this policy would come out with? And so people were having different things about the policy, and I was just trying to get everybody to think a little more globally in how it should be approached, and ask the program director to said, we're kind of putting this on you, because right now I'm not necessarily going to stop wearing jeans, because the work I do doesn't really call for slacks and dress clothes and all that. But if I'm told from higher up than you, then we should find out what the issue really is. I'm kind of rambling now, so maybe I'll get off that topic, but it's an idea that, okay, there's a little bump. Am I just being a little ornery to try to have them explain it better to everybody? Or am I here to try to have them teach me something? Anyway, some of my staff were upset, and I said, if it becomes worse comes to worse, I wasn't really looking for this job when I got here. If something else might come up, that's kind of a small thing, but the picture idea was they need to respect the employees, including you, on some of these decisions, how they're going to come across telling everybody. So, but when we get back to tonight at hand, though, it's just been nice to be with everybody and involved with all the stuff that's going on. And I guess, Jeff, I'd say, what are you seeing in the more global picture, more specific to me, what's going on? And not only here necessarily, but you want to reach out into the Alaska realm stuff, because I spent a good amount of time this past month in Alaska on tribal business and family business, which I thought was really positive. Another reason I was so involved with what I was doing. So getting good feelings there, but any other feedback you might be able to present?
Well, I'm going to try to answer as best I can, because again, it wasn't coming through as clear as normal. So, but I will share that right now, during our last insights, when we were all talking, and I think this is true of everybody, it was lots of things coming on, and it's that wave of stuff coming in, not only for the soul group, but for us individually, because we're all part of the soul group, and our life plans dovetail into the soul group. So we've had that coming in all these energies showing up and manifesting. I mean, Eryn has had hers, Marci's had a surfboard, Paula talked about her experience with the horses, the animals, and her animal communication. So we have all of these things coming in. Right now, although we're still having the connections in this, I'm going to call this, we're in a period of, it's not slowing down, it's integration. It looks like slowing down, but it's really just integrating what's already come in with some of the other energies that are continuing to come in. And then it's going to you know, it looks like a plateau, and then it will go this way, plateau, and then it moves up again. And that's where you're in. And you're going to, part of what you're going through, far as the dress code and what you're talking about, I think this is going to be an opportunity for you to address that in your own way. I'm going to say it that way, and it'll be kind of I don't want to say stealthy. That's not the word. It'll be done subtly. Subtly is the word. I think you'll be able to approach it subtly and come to some point to where that and other changes that are coming down can meet the tribal needs as well as the human needs of those people that are working there, and your spiritual needs, you might say, because one of the things that I really sensed was really important for people with you is that you need to be approachable. You need to be kind of dressed in a way that makes you approachable, and that seems to be what you've been doing. And I feel like you come across. I think your concerns are duly noted. Like I say, I can understand where they're at, and I think you'll be able to subtly get things moving, kind of more in Brook's direction than they have been. But I think it's gonna be a skillful use of influence on your part. Let me put it that way. That's a good way of putting it. A skillful use of influence. That's and you're good at that. So.
Okay, my air conditioner went off, so maybe you hear me better now.
Sure.
So I appreciate that, because the feedback otherwise from line staff on the way up to directors to council has been very positive about being here and what I've been able to contribute, and the changes and the everything positive so far has been so good. It's nice to get that affirmation too.
Yeah.
That, okay, I'm still here for the right reasons. We're still doing great things. Transparency all along the way, improving communication, being above board, and calling people on things that should be called upon in a good way. But they make the comment too, we respect you for your experience in all you've done in your history of work, but also your tribal leadership experience, because you bring in another view and opinion from another level. And so I said, well, that's pretty cool too, because that's all part of it. Mm-hmm. So that's really good. So
yeah, so I think things are on track. I'm going to just say it in a short answer for you. Things are on track, and I feel like you're going to be doing more finer. Boy, I'm seeing it. I can see it. The image they're showing me is that refined levels of influence. I said skillful use of influence, but you're also going to have that your level, your influence is going to get finer and finer granularity with things that you do. I'm not probably saying that quite right, but and that's a good thing. They need that. And I really feel like this is also going to be able to grow you a little bit in your use of influence. You're going to become aware of more subtleties of ways of doing things that can get things done and keep everything moving in the direction that you're being guided to move to, but also keep all the parties flowing well together. So stakeholders and your tribal and just all the different parties, the different pieces and parts, all flowing in an integrated, flowing fashion. And it feels like that has been what it's been, and it feels like you're going to be doing more of that, but even at a more refined level. That's the only way I can say it. More finer granularity, more refined level, and definitely growing in your ability to. The word is skillful use of influence.
Well, I appreciate that, Jeff, because one of the things that I'll kind of ended up with is, as I said, I enjoyed working with and sounding things off with Lisa for about the hour plus that I was able to be on the phone with her. And then the more times I share at a very energetic spiritual level here, the even greater feeling I feel of why I'm here. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily the work. That's
Yes.
just being here, part of the process.
Yes.
And I'm feeling so much more satisfaction from that part of my life lately than this other stuff, this busy stuff. And so that's such a change, and again reinforcing of why I'm still why I'm here doing what I'm doing, is saying things or speaking and sharing and helping people along in their way. And it's appreciated so far, so that's good.
It really is. And I know I said this before, but it's more so than you know, and in more ways. People don't even know how to express it. They just know that things feel better, things feel good now, more so.
Right.
And not that they were bad before, but they're just better. And,
Yeah.
and a lot of that is because you brought in yourself as a channel and your own individual guidance, and that is really working. It feels like it's working. I can just sense it. It's working, flowing really well, and it looks like it's you're like I say, flowing with it is kind of redundant, but that's the only word I have. It's you're flowing with it well, and you're following. The spirit is coming through, and the energies of unfoldment are happening as they should. And now, what I like about it, what it looks to me like, is it's just happening so softly and subtly that people like it. Sometimes change happens and people do change, but they do it in an abrupt manner. And it, even if it's a good change, it just could have been executed much better. And you're just the way that it's just so graceful, the way it's unfolding. That's the beauty of it. It's flowing
Yeah.
through you in a graceful manner. So,
And I feel that too. So I appreciate the feedback. So.
yeah. Well, you're welcome. And thank you for sharing your perspectives with Eryn. I like what you had to say. That's a theme in mythology, by the way. You go off and you go have this wonderful experience and you have all these wonderful connections and you think, oh, I'm going to bring this back. And you bring it back and your gold turns to ashes. No one understands it. It's like, oh, can't you understand how wonderful this is? This is awesome. And it's because that's where we are and that's not where they are. And we just have to respect that and just, walk our path. And that's what you're doing. So I want to thank you for sharing that, Brook, with all of us, but with Eryn. And I just want to say, I echo that. That is what you're doing. You're doing it. And I thought he said it much better than I did. So thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. And I love it when everyone chimes in and shares your perspectives on what you get for other people, because each of us brings through things that others, we all have things that we all see, but then there's things that each of us see that the others do not. And I just think that's wonderful. Okay, Pat, should I come back to you?
No, I'm okay. I'm good now. And I want to I want to put this forth before I ask my questions, that in what Eryn was expressing, Brook, I didn't hear the beginnings. It goes back to that also that in the Bible, and also something Yogananda said about when we gather together like this, the work that we're doing is reaching millions.
That's
And
true.
like what Brook is doing with his work isn't just for those people. It is going way beyond that. And it's a phenomenal thing. Just us expressing back and forth in this tiny little group is
That is so true. I'm so glad you said that. June used to talk about that, and only a couple of us knew her, but it goes out in waves and waves and waves out, and then comes back to us multiplied and magnified. It really does. And it's not a blessing, not only what we do here for each other, but it goes out to the soul group and to everyone, and then it comes back to us as a blessing again. It just,
yeah, I'm glad you brought that part in.
yeah. So
And
thank you. You reminded me. So thank you.
so I wanted to just share with people that John and I understood at the beginning of the week that on the 1st, there was a worldwide meditation in which over 170,000 people all meditated at the same time.
Wow.
Yes. And also we learned that tomorrow on the full moon day, there is a massive galactic shift happening. And I would just love to hear if the guidance has any confirmation, not just a confirmation, I don't really need that, but what they might have to say about it, because it's supposed to be hugely effective for all of us.
I think it's about connection and experiencing it. And it's funny you said that, because a few days ago, because the energy's been building for this cosmic shift, if you want to, as you call it, I was out looking at the bright planet, could have been Saturn or Jupiter, I don't know which one it was, but all of a sudden after I connected with it, it physically appeared to be moving, like in the sky, like it was moving. And I know it probably isn't really moving, and that's just the energetic connection that was happening through that planet. So I feel like what you said when you talked about that all of a sudden I got, oh, that's what that connection was about the other night, when Jupiter or whatever planet it was kept moving around in the sky. It's like, boy, planets don't usually move. At first I thought it might be a UFO, but it said no, it wasn't. It's the planet. So
Wow.
I think I'm getting that it's about connection for each of us. We'll each have our own experience, and that's what it is to be for us.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. All right, Franny, are you ready to share anything to share? Any questions or both? And of course, it can be to the group, anyone. If you have for anyone, it's always awesome to hear from everyone in the group.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. I missed the last two insights, so I'm especially happy that I read my email and found out it was tonight, not tomorrow night. Anyway, I would have been so disappointed. I do have a couple questions. One is that I had a tooth pulled last Friday, and my jaw is really, really hurting, and I'm probably going to have to go back to the dentist and have him look at it. I just started on antibiotics today, which I'm hoping will help, but it's this whole left side of my face. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that you can say about that, anything I need to know about this experience.
Yeah, he didn't messed up some meridians there. There's some meridians, some flow, the channels that are there, and there's different levels of them. And they'll get back into it, and it kind of blocks some energies. And I got that you should be taking vitamin C, increased amounts of vitamin C, a bunch of it. I mean, a lot.
Okay.
Okay, and keep doing it. And when you hit saturation with vitamin C, we get the effect, and then to back off, and that's what you're to be doing for a while. But I don't know who it was, and it wasn't intentional, but it looks like you're, because the energies are we're also sensitive in this group with the energies, but it blocked some of the energies, and it's affecting you physically. And that happens all the time with Deborah. It happens with everyone, but people, some of us, just because of our sensitivities, it'll happen more so, and that's what's happened with you. And you're to know, now that you're aware of it, you'll be able to connect and have things realign some more. But take some more vitamin C. That's what I got. They want you. They is the universe and some of your higher guides. That'll help make things better quicker.
Okay.
All right.
I actually had that random thought and I dismissed it. That I should be taking vitamin C.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And the good
kind of
stuff.
blew
I
it
knew
off.
probably that's all you take, but the really good, the good stuff.
Okay. I
Yeah.
will do that. My other question, I'm loving the warm weather, and I've been working with plants and flowers. I've already got all these kale plants on my front porch, and it feels so good to have those earth energies going, and the flowers, and getting them transplanted and stuff. I've got a client family that it's a high conflict divorce. I work with a 17-year-old son, and the dad brings the son. The mom has never really been very supportive of therapy, but she kind of acquiesced. And I visited with her some, had her come in some, but she's not really engaged. The
That's
dad
true.
has asked me if I can work with a younger sister, a 14-year-old sister, and he had asked that before, and I said no, because I felt like there was so much darkness in the family that it would help to have another professional involved, like two of us that were holding the space for healing in the family. So for whatever reason, the connection with the other therapist hasn't been very consistent. And the dad has asked me again if I would work with his daughter. And I haven't said yes and I haven't said no. And I've told him that I won't be able to make a decision until mid to late June, when my schedule is going to shift a bit. But I just am not quite sure. I don't know, there's some energetic patterns that I don't understand. And I'm confused about what I should do. I guess one of the questions, like, I'm not sure that I can help the girl, so that's a big thing. Would I be helpful? And would it be wiser to once again try to find another therapist that can bring that consistency and an outside voice and outside support to the family? Or should I say, I know the family, I know the history, I know the mom is very angry and has been angry for
Never.
a number of years, and she vilifies the dad and does that openly and has really alienated the children against the dad so that they don't see him clearly. And he's not completely innocent. It's not like good guy, bad guy. I mean, they both have their faults and their issues, but he doesn't badmouth the mom. I can tell you that. You know, he wants them to have a relationship with both of them. So I'm not sure. I'm just not sure what I want to do. So I guess my question is, could you please help shine the light on some of those family dynamics, and anything that you have to say that would help me make a decision, I think would be helpful.
Well, actually, as you were talking, they were showing me, and in an ideal world, in an ideal situation, you have, because of your knowledge of the family and their dynamics, it could be helpful. But the situation is energetically convoluted, and your hesitancy is prudent. It would be better. What they're showing me is if you could work with it, have the other daughter work with another therapist with whom you could do peer level, integrated work at some later point when the time is right. But what I'm getting from them is that it would become, it looks to me like it would get convoluted, as you're concerned about, that concern you have, and it could devolve and likely not be as effective as you are right now. It's not that all things would be lost. It's not the case, but it would, your sense, I'm going to call it your intuitive apprehensiveness is well served.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's you're at this point, it looks like it is from your higher guidance. This isn't a time to do it yet. Perhaps it could happen later, but what they're showing me and what you had indicated was that the other daughter worked with another therapist with whom you could then do collective, however it is you do that collective work, that when and if the time was right. But there are negative and some hidden stuff that hasn't revealed itself yet that will come up, that especially if you started working, it would complicate and basically gum up some of the processes you've already got going. I'm going to say it that way. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's your assessment was correct.
Mm-hmm.
That it would be best not to do so at this point, is what it looks like.
Right. Is there anything that you can say about my work with the 17-year?
I can barely hear you.
Is there anything you can say about my work with the 17-year-old? And I'll give an example. He definitely is very sheltered, and he also, I feel like this is my humble opinion, that mom had really overly influenced him. And there seems to be a theme now of keeping him small and not letting him reach for college or reach for trade school, keeping him small, keeping him at home with her. And that's somehow validating all of who she is. And dad just encouraged him to get a job this summer, and he reacted strongly to that. I'm going to be a senior next year. This is my last summer of being a kid. And why can't I stay? You know, I don't want to get a job. Anyway, he reacted strongly. And, you know, I worked with him around, okay, dad's in it for your, you know, he wants to support you in a good way. This isn't about him being mean to you or anything like that. This is dad thinking it would be great if you got a job and it would help you to do so. But I guess my question is there anything you can say about the work with the young man, with the 17-year-old?
I'm going to confirm what you already know. I'm being shown, I can sense what you know. Your assessment for her is true. The mother has her own issues are holding him back. And then he's got the relationship, he needs to be validated by her very strongly, needs that approval. So she has a very strong influence on him in an inhibiting way. And the father's assessment is good. It would be good for him to do that. I don't know that he will do so given the influence the mother has, and that dynamic is really, really all kinds of threads of intent. It's not that it's undoable. It will evolve in time, but right now she has a very strong and inhibiting influence on him to his detriment for growth and expression.
Is there anything I can do to soften that influence that mom has? Like if I work with mom, talk with mom, blah, 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 he's doing some great work, by the way. Like I have to say, he's grown so much and I'm really proud of him. You know,
Yes.
Anyway.
The answer is yes, but here is, I'm going to call it a warning. It's just to be aware with her. Yes, there are things that you can do, and I think you intuitively, and I'm going to use the word intuitive, mentally, both mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, energetically know how, that kind of intuitive is what I mean. You have a sense of how to handle it. Opening her up so that she is, the things that, what I'm seeing, because she's keeping these things veiled isn't the right word. She's keeping these parts of herself behind a thin curtain that keeps things so they can operate the way they do in her life. If you open her up so that she can be more open for him, it's going to open her up for stuff that there's issues that are going to arise with her. Weird, spurious stuff that you'll think makes no sense at all, but it all has to do with her sense of, I'm going to call it insecurity and vulnerability and hidden stuff that she's not even aware of right now. And it would pull some of that back, and then she'd become emotionally aware of it. You know what I mean? We're not consciously aware of it, but we know, we sense it, we feel it, and she would start acting upon that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there are, but you're going to have to, and I think you can, and you are making a difference. I want to make that clear right now that what you're doing is slowly dissipating the fog with her and allowing things to, albeit slowly, improve. But you're going to hit this next level, next layer. No, it's not even layer. It's in the inner. Yeah, I'll call it a layer. This next layer, and as you start working into that, which those are the aspects of her psyche and her being that deal with her interaction, not only with the husband, but with the son. That's going to open her up to have to start dealing with that. And it will express itself in the relationships with her son and her husband and the other children, the other child. It will. So the answer is, my short answer is yes, there's things you can do, but just be aware, which that's why I said this is a being aware thing. Be aware that's the dynamic that's happening with her, and it's not completely visible. You wouldn't suspect it's there, but there's stuff there that you don't know about. And it's the reason why you don't know about it is because she keeps it hidden from herself as well as others. A Johari's window thing. Yeah. That's as much as they want to talk about it, but your intuitive sense, you're really good at navigating these minefields. You're very good at it. And she's definitely kind of, like they have in the Navy, the mines that are under the water, that's what she's like. That's the stuff that's there. And it's not necessarily big stuff, but it's stuff that as it becomes opened up, it's going to be closer to the surface, and therefore it's going to start being active in her interactions, more so than it is now.
Mhm.
So yes, keep doing what you're doing. Just be aware of that. That's going to be my short answer.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. It just kind of,
I wish I could give you
Yeah.
better, but that's what they're showing me.
No.
Boy, there's real. I'm seeing the whole mosaic of her psychic being in. That's just how they show it to me. I get the whole thing at once, and as I'm trying to decipher how to explain it to you, that's the best I can explain it, and in a way that makes sense, that where it can be useful to you.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. So that's plenty. That's plenty.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, boy, oh boy, Franny, the work you do is so wonderful, but my goodness, I want to say the word, it's delicate work.
mm,
You know what I mean? You have to be really delicate because of the volatilities of the things that you have to deal with. So
mhm.
I really admire the work you do, just being able to do that. God bless you for doing that, because these people need it. People need it so much. And
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
anyway,
The little kids that I've spoken about here in the past, that whole situation is really resolving beautifully. I just, one of those times when it feels like the creator has a plan, and, I just need to step aside, and watch things unfold and know that all I can do is my part, and that's enough. So I'm really grateful for the support that I've received from this group around that.
yeah, and you do it so well. The
Mm,
dance,
Thank you.
I think of the Shiva dance sometimes of that, because that's such a complicated thing, but yes. Thank you. Is there anything else?
I'll just I'll just throw out that I got a text from my niece, who barely ever responds to my texts, and she sent me a text, and she was filling out a financial aid form, and she asked if I could call her because she needed help. I mean, this is a kid that never communicates. She just turned 20, and I barely get an acknowledgement if I send her a birthday present. Or wish her happy Merry Christmas or something. So she called. We were on the phone for over an hour, and
Wow.
some things are moving in her life. I'm greatly relieved for that. And it just felt good to be in that role. It ended up being a question that was easily answered. And I thought I was going to have to put her off because I was tired. It was late. I had said, I think we better wait till the morning, because I'm really done for the day. But then I got on the phone, and it was an easy question. And she's going to go back to community college and then apply to a university. And it just felt great to be able to talk with her and see that she's getting back in the flow of life after my brother's death. So her dad's passing, and after COVID, when everything shut down, and she kind of, she just sort of caved in with all that was happening. And it's great to see her coming out. So it gave me a real energy boost to just hear that spark in her. So I wanted to share that.
Well, thank you. And it's so wonderful when that happens in someone's life, when they can move on in a positive, constructive way. And it feel, you know, it feels like I agree with you. I feel like that's what she's doing. And and I feel like once she starts doing it and engaging and stays with it for a while, it'll become part of her life, and then the unfoldment can happen again, you know, and just continue on. So thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks so much for this.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, at this point, we've gone to everyone. Does anyone else have anything to share? We can go around the group if we want anything to share. Any last things to share? Thoughts from anything that anyone has said? And this time, I'm going to start with you, Brooke, up there you're in my upper left-hand corner of my screen. So, do you have anything? Any closing thoughts, comments, anything at all?
I'm trying to wait for it to come in. I guess I really don't. It was just nice to be here with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things happening in lives, the challenges we're facing, like Franny, and the growth that Eryn gets to experience. Paula, I didn't really hear much what you said because I got in right when you were talking, I think so. But it was just nice to be. I'll be in Hawaii all next week, on the Big Island. So, Marci, I don't remember where you're at, but if you're on the Big Island, it'd be nice to connect. So, it'll be business, but some pleasure in there too.
Well, enjoy your Hawaiian.
I'm over on Molokai.
Oh, okay. Wrong island. For me.
Molokai, yes.
Well, just swim over.
Yeah.
It's not quite that close. No. All right. Well, it was just a
Thank you.
thought. Well, thank you, Brooke. Oh.
Love it.
Pat, do you have anything more to share? Thoughts, questions, anything at all?
I just want to thank everybody for all their support as a group and a family, a spiritual family. And I always know that your thoughts are, you know, like our thoughts are all together in loving care. And I just want to share that last week, my sister and I fulfilled a dream of our son, Christopher. He's 39 years old and he's never seen the ocean. And, you know, just like we're talking about, a lot of stuff had to come up and out of him and move out. And, you know, he's in a rather precarious living situation. He's in a group home, but they may make him move out. And there's only one other place in Kalispell. It's an assisted living. And so, you know, my sister encouraged him just to be one day at a time and just to kind of go with it and not worry, because having a mental illness as well as addictions, he worries. So I'm just putting that out there because I know we're all building into each other's lives and work. And I thank you.
Well, thank you. And you're right. And the blessings will, you know, just keep them in the light. That's what we can do. Thank you. One day at a time. I agree with that. That's a good advice for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. All right. All right, Franny, anything else before you have to share thoughts, anything at all?
I just want to say to Paula, Yahoo, I think that's wonderful that you're stepping into this new chapter and that you're talking to the horses. They've been talking to you for all these years, and now you finally get to read it, download it, and share it with others. So bravo.
Yes. Well, and on that note, I know I've mentioned it before, but the Scandinavians believe that horses are oracles from the divine. So just thought I'd share that, you know, especially with animal communications. You never know especially horses are such wonderful animals. They're just incredible. Had them growing up. Okay, Paula, do you have anything more? Anything to share? Any thoughts? Anything?
Well, thanks, Franny. I guess what crossed my mind was it was a bit of a confirmation that the growth that I did in that 2 weeks is bigger than I realized.
Yeah.
And I guess I would just say is that what you're seeing also, Jeff, I hadn't really thought about it for myself. I knew I'd dropped, really cleaned up some stuff for myself, but anything for an insight on maybe the depth that I don't even realize for what I worked on.
A lot of it, I can share this, is from your high self and your entourage, your group, your guides, is you're doing a lot of wrapping up things. I could call sweeping the floor of your old life, and getting that out of there, sending it on its way, blessing it, so that you can further move into what you're to move into.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you. That's I would agree with that completely. And the confirmation again of the work we do for ourselves exponentially helps everybody.
It does, in ways we don't even know. You're so right. And I'm glad Pat brought that up, and we all talk about it. And it's so true, because it goes out and out and out, and then it comes back to us again, magnified and multiplied. So
Thank you, everybody.
yes, and for Eryn jumped off before I had a chance to get to her. Marci, do you have anything last things to share, ask, anything at all? Again.
Oh, just send lots of love. Love
Yeah,
to
and don't forget to
everybody.
swim to the Big Island.
Yeah, you have to send me your text or phone number, Brooke, when you get there.
You hear that, Brooke? She said if you could send her your text when you get there.
Send a smoke signal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, get up on one of those volcanoes there with your blanket.
Absolutely. Wow, that's a thought. Well, gosh, what a blessing it is to be with everyone. It's just everyone's energy just radiating out. After every one of these things, every time I'm like energized for the next 2 hours. I can't even think about even if I was tired beforehand, I'm not tired afterwards. I'm all wired. So we just thank you. Just a heartfelt thank you to everyone and all the things that everyone has shared. Just, the questions, the things that we've shared with one another. Again, I learned so much from all of you. So blessings, light, and love. And so until next time.
Lots of love, everybody.
Next month,
Blessings.
yes.
Love
And
all of
remember,
you.
Deborah,
Bye.
sound
Bye.
showers coming up, I think, second Saturday for those that are here.
Yay.
All right, bye-bye.
Yay.